same page with both armies.
Right.
But there's no blank space either,
Ah, okay.
because it was three total pages, right? In
Yeah. Yeah.
Colon, because we had each army had its own page, and then all the loss results, the loss records, the table that just
Right.
all the extra stuff showed up on a third page. But there was a lot of blank space on the Prussian page.
Yeah, I think that the
So
Prussians, yeah, they might have the same size, but
yeah,
the Russians don't have as much as the Austrians had. The Austrians have their whole page is full chock a block
yeah,
with units to
yeah.
be destroyed.
All right. Well, maybe that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing we should look at is the actual loss levels. Um, it is just pure 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50 on the Russian chart,
Yeah, I see
the
that.
columns
Yep.
on the chart. And then it's 75 to the first one, but then just 25, 25, 25, 25 for
Right.
the.
Yeah, yeah.
So it actually starts a little bit later, but much narrower columns for the Prussian army. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
Well, our goal is
yeah.
never to lose more than 75, so.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's your story and you're sticking to it. Yeah.
Well, and I looked at the
Um,
victory conditions and it's just straight up like, blow the stuffing out of the other guy, get his army morale level up to, for the Prussians, you've got to get us to 40 to have an automatic win. We've got to get you to 50 plus to have an
oh
automatic
wow.
win. So,
So
yeah, I
it's a
mean,
real
it's,
slug match.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Because
yeah.
what does that say, right? I mean, you think about it. Most of us would have just said, "Yeah, okay, I'm done."
Yeah,
Before you reach 40, much less 50.
yeah,
But
this
that
is,
sounds really like the battle because it was a grudge match.
yeah. Well, and it looks like,
Uh,
too, with your leader, your army leader, he's not going to be able to affect, the die
right,
roll for the morale stuff. That's if he's even there. There's some sort of
right,
rule where
right,
he vanishes off the map
right.
to go have a powder, take a powder somewhere.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, but yeah, you're right. From what I read, it was just this, as you said, a slugging match. And in the end, I think the Prussians pulled the plug on the battle, and nobody got to whatever it was, and so therefore, because the Prussians left, it was considered a minor Russian victory.
Right. Which, I mean, I guess it's interesting to think about because it is generally viewed as kind of a Prussian strategic victory in the sense that the Russians decided, yeah, okay, enough of this, and headed back towards Poland.
Right.
And if you're the Prussians, just surviving this war is plenty, right? And yet you could view it tactically as a failure, I suppose.
Yeah, I think
Um,
strategically it was a victory because the Russians did leave,
right,
but tactically, at least based on what
right,
the rules are, it's if the Prussians don't get a victory, it's a Russian minor victory. So,
right. Okay, so
Yeah.
there are some exotic modifiers that we need to be aware of.
yes, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah. I'm looking at Wikipedia. It says result inconclusive, and the
Yeah.
force sizes were 36,000 Prussians with 167 guns and 42,000 Russians with 210 guns. Russians had 16,000 casualties. The Prussian had somewhere between 11,400 and 12,800. So,
Okay. All right. So a lot.
Yeah, a fair number of people.
Just as a fraction,
Yep.
that's a
yeah,
big number, right?
like
Um,
almost a third. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and just
And
and as
more
I
for the
recall,
and Russian. Yeah.
The next day, both armies just sat there on the field, stared at each other, just because they were so exhausted from the day before. Neither one really wanted to leave the battlefield. Eventually, I guess I'm trying to remember. Was it the Prussians eventually who blinked first and walked away? I'd have to go look up the history.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Okay.
just had read
Well,
what I just kind of read through some of the basics of it that was there in
yeah,
the.
I definitely remembered it was one of those ones where the next day was unusual in that both armies just stared at each other but didn't leave the field. Um, so there are a couple of army morale modifiers that ought to get mentioned though, because they're pretty big. On the Prussian side, uh, if during any of the hourly turns
Right,
there's a non-routed, non-Cossack Russian unit in any hex of Wilkersdorf,
right.
which is a village kind of in the southeast of the map.
Yeah, it's over there. It's kind of on
Um,
the, I think, the Prussians' line of communication. They'd march
yeah,
through
and I think that's
Wilkersdorf.
why
Yeah,
it's right. Yeah, that modifies Prussian army morale by +10
yeah,
until the next army morale check.
yeah,
I mean, an hour later. And by the way, it appears to be having nothing to do with the special event.
yeah. No, it has to do with somebody is over there. So obviously the Prussians need to guard that little town to keep the
Right.
riffraff out.
If Frederick's not on the map for any reason, it's +15 army morale.
Oof.
Uh, and that's a lot. I don't know what would prompt Frederick not to be on the map. I don't know that there's anything
You'd have to be
specifically.
wounded or killed.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
Yeah.
for the Russians, similarly, there are some modifiers, and they are related to any of the baggage counters that get looted.
Right.
That's a permanent +2 modifier.
Oh wow. Okay.
If there's a non-routed Prussian unit in any hex of Kvarchen,
Right.
I'm not German, but it's kind of in the northwest corner,
Right.
right by that river
Yep.
there. And again, I think that's because that was
That's their line of
the
retreat. Yeah.
Russian line of communication and line of retreat.
Was it
Again,
any unit
+10.
or does it have to be an infantry unit?
Non-routed Prussian unit.
Ah, okay.
So the only stipulation on our side is it can't be a Cossack,
Right.
but for you, it's just not routed.
Okay.
And again, it's +10 until the next army morale check phase. If Fermor is not on the map for any reason, it's +10. And of course, there's lots of reasons for him to not be on the map because he's a knucklehead. Um,
Well, there's some special result. I thought if you rolled a double zero, he he uh, he goes off the map or something. I recall seeing. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? In fact,
He
I
either
think
leaves the
this
map
is
or he returns to the map. So we don't
right.
actually have a double zero that's going to give us an army
An
morale check.
army morale. So it really is hour by hour by hour
Yeah. Yeah.
without any special results. So again, this just feels like it's going to be an absolute World War One Battle of the Somme. Just it's going to be a bloodbath. Um, because yeah, we only get the hourly army morale checks. Wow, it's been a long time since I played this. In fact, I think it was Consim World 2018
Okay.
that I would have last played this. Um, Other stuff is the Tenacious Russians,
Right.
and this was just kind of some balancing that Matthew did based upon observation. I don't think it was Matthew. I think other people had come up with this idea before, but he included it in this update. Um, when defending in close combat, Russian infantry and any artillery units are stacked with get a -10 on all morale checks. The
Right.
ones that happen during the close combat segment. So that's morale check B, pre close combat,
Right.
and G, which are the ones that are a result of M results.
Right.
So -10, which is good,
Yes.
right? And +2 to their printed combat value before any modifications. And that's a pretty big deal too, right? So if there's a, a defender here, I'm just going to find one out on the field and flip it over. So okay, so he's terrible.
Right.
Um, he's +1, but if he's defending, he's a +3.
Ah, okay. So if he's on the attack, he's a +1. If he's on the
Exactly.
defense, he's a +3. And then
Right.
his
And
morale is improved for the pre-melee morale check by
right.
+10, did you say?
Well, -10. Yeah.
-10,
Yeah.
right. So
Right.
if he's
Yeah.
a
10
24, it goes
benefit.
down to a 14 or whatever, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Oh, yeah.
good.
You're right. So if I look at that guy, what is it?
A 29, so
Yeah.
he'd be
So
down to a 19.
he's a 29. So he's a 19. So yeah, 19. Uh, and of course, this is kind of one of those, you know, two bladed swords, right? Two-sided swords here, because uh, you know, having him down at 19 means he's just not going to run. He may keep taking casualties, by golly, but he's not
Right.
going to run. That, you may wish he had. The other thing we see is that a defender result of 1R or 2R, which of course is usually what ends one of these battles,
Right.
is treated as the 1 or 2 strength point loss gets applied. If the unit is not shaken or disordered, it becomes disordered. If it is shaken but not disordered, it becomes shaken and disordered. If the unit is shaken and disordered, it routs.
All right. So it's extra tough to get them to bug out.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, they take the loss, but they don't immediately rout.
Right. So the R
And
result is going to have them, if they're not already disordered, it's going to have them being disordered or shaken and disordered.
yes, if they're not shaken or disordered, they become disordered.
Okay.
If they're shaken but not disordered, or vice versa,
Right.
then they become shaken and disordered. And then only if they're shaken and disordered do they actually route the way you'd normally expect. So it kind of would suggest that uh, a, a unit that's purely happy,
Right.
it's going to take 3 of those results to actually cause them to rout. And of course, 3 of those results will probably destroy the unit.
Right. So if it gets a disorder, if it gets a D result, is it still
Well, I mean,
disordered?
yeah, a D result is just a D. So, but
Okay.
you think about it, if you look at the close combat table,
Right.
most of the time, if you get a D, well, that's because the other guy got an R.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well that's
You
what I
know,
was
so
checking. So the idea is,
right,
okay, say the Prussians are attacking, they don't roll well, or who knows what happens, right? And so they end
yeah,
up, their guy bugs out,
right,
and then the D result on the defender is still applied.
yeah, exactly,
Okay.
yeah. So the other thing you'll notice, an S result or a 3R result isn't changed. It's only 1R and 2R that actually is modified.
Ah, okay. So if you roll
So
well
yeah,
enough, you're still going to
yeah, you still
inflict
blow them
those.
away.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, uh, um, when infantry and artillery defenders are stacked and a 1R, 2R defender combat result is modified, the whole stack is affected by the modified result. In addition to the morale modifiers already listed for close combat, Russian infantry units and any artillery units are stacked with have their effectiveness ratings modified by -10 for the following morale checks. That's fire combat results, friendly unit retreats, and rally. That's an important one.
Huh. Okay.
So again, notice though that, by the way, it's only infantry and
Right.
artillery that's stacked with them. So
Right.
cavalry, the Russian cavalry doesn't get any benefit out of any of this.
Right. Oh, well, that's good. So for rallying, that's going to be helpful.
Yeah, for rallying, that's really not. Of course, again, as we've kind of viewed, uh, if they took a lot of losses because of because of close combat, well, then I mean they're probably just going to get vaporized rather than running away.
Right.
I'm not really sure how that's going to play out.
Huh.
Okay,
All right. And then
so
there was a couple
that's
of things there with Prussians I saw. I was looking at it here just before we got started. They've
special
got,
rules.
yeah, they do. They've got Prussian infantry regiments of Moritz, Bevern, Kalnichin, somebody else who I can't pronounce, and Wied are brittle units, right? So their morale number or their effectiveness number is printed in green. And
Oh
what it
wow!
says there is that once they lose their second SP, they have a plus 10 ER modifier for all further morale checks of all types. So basically, these
Oh,
guys must have been, either newly formed or they had gone through something. So they are
interesting.
lessened. So it's just those regiments. Um,
So help me help me find that rule. I'm sorry, I
it's on page 7 of the
seven.
thing, and it's a 41B infantry. It's number C or letter C. So if
I
it's over
see.
on the middle
Okay.
section, left-hand column.
So so basically it means that they they huh. So that's so it's kind of like they just become half dead sooner.
Yep. Even if they're
Is
not
that
half dead, right?
right? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just all it takes is two and they're half dead.
Yeah. For that, and
Interesting.
then
And
and then if they are half dead though, then you're going to have a plus 20.
really
Well, yes, because it's not saying. It says, in addition
interesting.
to all normal modifiers, once they lose their
It's
second
the
SP,
second.
they have a plus
Yes.
10 ER modifier for all further morale
Wow.
checks.
That's
Yeah, so that's
that's
going to,
pretty
yeah.
that's really serious. I don't know that I remember that one, but okay. All right. Yeah,
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry I brought
interesting.
it up then.
Yeah, 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 totally. Oh my gosh. Um looks like there's an option to add two battalions that were
I guess they were
that were
they were in
were
the
not
garrison.
historically
Yeah,
present. Um
yeah,
so
two battalions. It looks like that were part of
right.
Veed's Fusiliers.
Okay. So well, we should probably ponder that. Um
Yeah, they would be part of. It
oh,
looks like uh, Dietrich's brigade.
right. And
So
then we've got some counter errata, which I don't know if it actually applies here. We should take a look and see if they fixed it in this vassal module, where it says the two Kerr battalions should be listed. It should be Fusiliers, not
musketeers. Ah,
Musketeers.
okay.
I don't know where they are though. I haven't found them yet.
Okay. Well, let's see if I can find them. So they are part of Fleming's brigade, and Fleming is with
I think one is
Kaunitz.
right here.
Oh, there you go. And it looks like it says Fusiliers on that one.
Yeah, yeah. So it looks like they got corrected. Yep.
Oh,
Oh no,
no,
that one
that one
says
says
musketeer.
Musketeer. Oh, how funny. And the interesting part is they're wearing this little hat that I frequently see associated with Fusiliers. So one of the two of them was, um,
So it looks like
in
it's
fact,
just. It looks like it's just. Well, it does say Fusilier on the information.
it does.
On
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
if we
just
go,
the back
yeah, if we go
is
by that
incorrect.
instead of the
Okay.
other thing, we
All
should be
right.
fine.
All right. That's good. All right. What else do we know? Each of us has an artillery special leader. Um,
Yep.
I I think all of our, let's see, my artillery special leader is good for 2, and I think yours is good for 3. I'm not sure where he
Um,
is. He's probably back
he's
here
back
with
there
the
with the
artillery.
king. He's back. Yeah, because the looks like
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff
he's
hasn't
a
been quote unquote deployed yet.
exactly right. There's a couple of goofy rules about the observation corps, um, and that's the guys with the
Yep.
black
Yep.
um, breeches, and they uh, apparently can stack with each other, but can't stack with any non-observation corps infantry units. They can stack with artillery. Um, the 2 independent observation corps grenadier units. Where are they?
Um, well, the observation core is over on this side of the map.
Yeah, I'm just looking for which ones are the grenadiers. I haven't found them yet. Oh, is that part of it? No. Let's see. Two independent observation corps grenadier units, as well as wing leader Brown, may only be activated along with the command of the observation corps. Non-observation corps independent units and any eligible leaders may be activated along with an observation corps activation. Okay. Um, I'm wondering if I look on the.
Is that this one and this one?
I'm wondering if that's the case, and I'm wondering how I would know. Um, I'm looking. I'm hoping maybe the Army morale, the order of battle, will make that clear. I'm just looking for it. There's the Russian army, and
The observation corps has one of them with the black and one of them with white.
So the ones that are the converged grenadiers are the normal ones, and
okay,
then so you should have 6 of those out there based on what the chart says, and
okay.
then it looks like you've got the ones that have the asterisks on them. You've got 2 that are just grenadiers, and it's got an asterisk. Well, let's see
I
what we've
don't.
got here.
I'm
Independent. There's Brown's wing.
see. I don't.
Huh.
That's F. That's T. I don't see
Independent infantry. Okay.
any
They're the
independent
guys.
infantry.
Yeah. I mean, so here, I'm going to drop one on the map next to Brown. That's what they look like.
Oh, interesting. I wonder where are they supposed to be set up? Well, whatever. We'll look that up. But okay, so
Yeah.
it
But they've
it
got black
does
pants
look
as well.
yeah, interesting. And yes, and they're clearly not on the map now
I don't see
because
them.
the
I see.
ones that are on the map are all members of either F or T.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know where they would be. All right, so we'll have to figure out where they set up. All right, that's fair. Um, and this would be Russian setup.
Yeah. So this is scenario 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
And independent infantry units. Now, what was that one called?
They're just
The one you.
that's that's Brown's, um, and it's not the converged one. The converged
Oh,
ones are marked.
it's 1 GR and 2 GR,
Yep.
not CGR.
Yep.
Okay. So we do have them listed here as where they're supposed to set up. So
Yeah.
that's good.
One GR and 2 GR over.
On
It
map
looks like,
C.
well, no, I see a 1 GR unless there's a different GR. Oh yeah, there is a
There's
different GR.
yeah.
Yeah, there must be a regiment that's named 4GR.
So one of them should be right around here.
Right.
Yeah, I'm showing that they
There's
with.
one right around there.
Right. Agreed. But they don't show up here on the. So where did you find them on the
So I just went up to the where you've got the Russian units,
uh-huh,
and
yeah.
then I selected independent infantry.
Independent infantry.
Yeah,
Yep, there you go. Okay, I see it now. All
yeah.
right. So one of them, as we were saying, is like 2309, 2310, like
Okay.
there. Um,
There.
yeah, exactly. And then the other one is probably right next to him,
That's right.
2211. Oh, 2211 and 12.
2212.
So like right
Yep, right
there.
there.
Okay. Isn't that interesting? They got it makes me a little bit nervous about the rest of the setup.
Yeah, well, we had discovered when we were playing Moscow that I don't know how many turns were into it, but like there was a couple of regiments that were missing that weren't in the. I guess one got duplicated, and then another one wasn't there at all
Oh
in the
dear.
French order of battle. And you're like, oh, okay, well, it's a good thing
That's-
somebody noticed it. And of course, it was
Yeah.
the Russians who noticed the French units were missing.
No, well, you know.
So, no, it was good. What I mean, Brennan is like an expert in that battle. I mean, he visited
Oh,
the
really?
battlefield when he was a kid and everything else.
Oh,
So
wow.
he's like, "Gosh, where's the 106th, French regiment of line and da da da? It should be over here leading this attack on Borodino, and where is it? And
Yeah.
oh, he couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah. That's
So
funny.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So sometimes knowing too much gets you in trouble.
Yeah, looks like. Isn't that funny? Okay, so combined grenadiers one, two, three, and then what in the world is that? Fourth grenadiers. Is that not a combined grenadier? I'm confused. Last.
So there's a regiment that is
Yeah.
grenadiers. It's the second grenadiers. They're under Manteuffel. Then you've got the
Yeah.
fourth grenadiers, which are under Dietz, and that's a
Wow.
regiment with 2 battalions.
Interesting. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
I see that.
but they're not independent units. They are
Right.
part and parcel of that command.
Right. And so then oh, and there's five and there's six. Okay, so that's all six of the combined grenadiers then. And then the dismounted um,
Dragoons.
dragoons are right there. Okay. So that's good.
And you've got one
And then
independent Hussar unit and then 12 Cossacks.
uh, yes, and I think the independent.
Because Hussar is back here in the back there, um, over here
Okay.
by
Yeah. Yeah. All
guarding
right.
the approaches to
Right.
Quartzen, Kavartzen,
Gesundheit.
Kazunaitzen. Well, at least we can read the map.
Well,
I know
now
some of those other village
Yeah.
names on colon we couldn't even read. Is it an
No, they
H?
were
Is it a
just
K? Yeah,
gibberish. Yeah.
yeah. Just a
Is there
little too
something?
fancy. Just a little too
s-
fancy.
Yeah. Is something troubling you there, David?
troubling, but okay. It says I'm looking. All the artillery is kind of stacked, at least for the Russians, is stacked over here on the left. But
Yeah.
actually, when you look at the baggage and artillery setup in there, it says okay. It lists out the different ones. Set up unlimbered within 2 hexes of any Russian infantry unit. Unit
Right.
one through one through four set up unlimbered within 2 hexes of any observation corps unit.
Right.
Right.
So that
Right. So we'll need to do that.
Right, and I think with the Prussians, it's something similar where they set up within proximity of the Prussian infantry. Um,
But interestingly, the artillery can be set up limbered or unlimbered within 10 hexes of
okay.
any Prussian infantry unit. Wow, that's interesting. Now, what is a unicorn 1 through 4? What's a
So the unicorn ones are they're like a howitzer. I mean,
Oh,
that's the
they're back with
symbol.
the observation
Yeah,
core.
yeah.
Okay, they weren't stacked with the other ones. Okay,
No,
I,
and that's because I think they're
okay,
over there. But I think
yeah.
the rules said they fire like a howitzer. So whatever the rules are,
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
yeah.
Okay, so within 2 hexes of any Russian infantry unit or any observation corps unit, just depending on which one it is. Okay. Um, where would the
Right. And I did find out something interesting reading through this that
yeah,
the Prussian howitzers, numbered 1 through 6 or something like that, can
yeah,
fire and prolong, but the ones that are numbered, 7 through 11 or whatever, they can't fire and prolong. They can prolong, but they can't.
oh,
And there's
oh,
a note there saying that the ones that can fire and prolong were once captured
yeah.
from the Austrians,
Oh,
and the
funny
other
and lighter.
ones, yep, and the other ones are older Prussian ones. And so you were wondering
Oh,
why at
funny.
Kolin, the
Yeah,
Prussians couldn't advance, couldn't fire and prolong like the Austrians
right,
were. And here it was a technical. It wasn't a game balance thing. It was a
right.
no. The Prussian guns were heavier, slower,
Just
whatever.
heavier.
Yeah, the carriages weren't
Interesting.
as well made. Who knows what?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I thought I would share that with you since that had
Well, that
had
is
puzzled us slightly with the
well, a
Colon
little
game.
bit. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, certainly, um, it seemed difficult to figure out how in the world we're going to get, the aggressive sort of, um, roll the guns up sort of Prussian activity.
Right. All right.
Okay. All right. So then probably the important thing we need to figure out at some point is um, how you two are going to divide up the Prussian army.
Yeah, I mean that'll be something that David and I need to discuss in Prussian
Right.
HQ, I'm sure.
Right. And
So,
I'm going to need to go find some carbohydrates because for some reason dinner didn't do what it was supposed to do. So I'm going to go do that right quick and I'll
okay.
be back in a moment.
All right, we'll be in Prussian HQ and
Very good. That sounds like a good plan.
okay, cool, cool.
Okay. Bye.
All right, David.
All right.
It's
Okay. So
it's the return of the
I guess,
revenge of you and I. We haven't
yeah,
been
sounds
on a
like
team
you have
together.
already set up teams here, huh?
Yeah. Well, unless you want to play the
No, no, no,
Russians.
no. Actually was thinking of the same way. It was Michael's turn now to be on the receiving end of the
Yeah,
Prussians.
yeah. We told him, "Hey, it's your turn to be in the hot seat," kind of a thing. Um, so yeah, so I think this will be fun. I now have a better handle on the game than we did when we were playing Brandywine. But the one thing that I noticed with this is if you take a look at the Prussian artillery, you'll see that it's 4 increments. While for the most part, for like the heavy guns, the 12 pounders, so that means it's 4 times whatever the multiplier is. We've got lots of big, beautiful guns with which to wreak havoc on the Russians. And the little 7 pounder howitzers are little support poof poof things, but we've got all these great 12 pounders. The other thing, I took a look at the fire multiplier chart, and the Prussians, our grenadiers are times 5, our musketeers are times 4, and our fusiliers are times 3. And the Russians are all one peg further down from us. So their grenadiers are only times 4, their musketeers are only times 3, and then their the guys that are in the observation corps are even worse. So now they've got a fair amount of artillery, which is okay, but I think we have more artillery and we have better firepower. And so I'm thinking, okay, instead of us having coming in and charging with a bayonet, we soften them up with artillery, and then we move into musket range and we fire at them with our superior musketry, um, and we wear them down that way because they have that benefit of being on defense. Well, I mean, they'll still get the benefit, I guess, for morale checks for fire losses and stuff like that too. But um, I figure we have they can't fire back as well as we can fire at them. So that's what I was thinking as
Eh,
far as our. Plus, we're a hell of a lot more maneuverable. I don't know if you've seen the charts, but for those guys, for the Prussians, Russians to try to turn or move or change or whatever, it's like costing them their whole movement practically. So they're not
oh, I didn't.
terribly
Yeah, I didn't look
elegant.
at that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we have an advantage. Plus, I think they're still fighting in four ranks. So, um, the stuff that's
Yeah,
kind
the
of.
Prussians are in three ranks. I did
Yep.
see that. I didn't
Yep.
see what the.
So the Russians are in four ranks from what I saw.
All right.
Um,
So the the observation corps, they're even less than the regular.
yep. Yeah, they're pretty bad, and their morales are not very good either. Um, so they're certainly somebody that we can beat up. Um, Now, looking at the map, um, we've got this big woods in the middle of us, and it's kind of on a hill, or if we want to think of it that way. And so there's those slopes facing down towards where the Russians are now. It'd be a good place to set up some guns over there. And then we've got these rivers or these sort of ponds and creeks that separate the battlefield into
Yeah.
sections. So the one that's way over here on the west, um, that's this one along here. This one's got this you know really steep slope. It's unpassable except in a few places, etc. Um, and so I don't know that there's going to be a lot of maneuvering around there. But I was thinking I'd take some artillery up to this other side and park some on the hill over here, and I could fire into the Russian flank, put stuff up on the hill here, fire in on them. You could have a battery up over here firing into them. Um, so we could set up some guns and have some fun pouring fire into them, maybe catching them in the flank or whatever else in the process. Seydlitz has got a decent amount of cavalry on my side of the map, and he doesn't really have much to counter it except for a couple of Cossacks over there. It looks like the bulk of his cavalry he's got over on your side of the map with a bunch of Cossacks, and then it looks like some hussars, and some various and sundry cuirassiers from the looks of it.
All right. So the kind of grayish,
So the ones that are this,
bluish are
yeah,
Cossacks.
these ones that are 5-7, that yep,
Yeah.
those are Cossacks. And then these are regular hussars, and then this looks like a dragoon, and then cuirassiers. Um, and then the cavalry that's on this side of the map, there's looks like cuirassiers and yeah, a little bit of light cavalry. So this side stuff is not quite as strong. Um, so I don't know that you're going to be. I mean, do you have a preference which side you want to play? Because I think if looking at things, those those wagons, we want those destroyed or damaged or looted or whatever. That gives us points or knocks at his morale level. Getting a unit into Quartchen is going to be helpful for us. Um, and and so I think the bulk of the sort of the press of the attack is going to come in this area here between Fuchsburg and the forest, and this sort of here along this line between the Fuchsburg and that other hill that's just north of the forest.
Okay, no Grenzers to worry about, I see.
Yep, no Grenzers to worry about. Nope,
Just
no.
Cossacks this time.
Yep,
I saw.
no, yeah, no skirmish. I don't think nobody can go. Those no skirmish cavalry, no nothing. Um, yeah, the only thing you that if so, I don't know if you want to lead the attack over here and take the Prussian left wing, or you want to take the Prussian right wing, um, and have and do more where you're going to be, um, you know, setting up artillery there in front of this forest, and and
Now, do their cavalry get the same benefits as the infantry of
nope,
when they're on defense and
nope,
offense?
nope, nope. They don't
Okay,
get
it's
anything,
just the infantry.
and their cavalry can only charge at 2 hexes or 2 movement points or whatever it is, while the Prussians can charge at 4. So they have the Russians have a shorter charge distance, if you want to look at it that way.
All right. Now, what's the rule about this Wilkersdorf there?
Yeah. So if a non Cossack enemy unit is in Wilkersdorf, um, it's a 10 modifier to our morale checks for until we drive them out and the next top of the hour comes around. So what I'm thinking is we can have artillery set up within 10 of an infantry. We could put a couple of batteries on the road over here, run them over to Wilkersdorf, and have a couple of batteries over here, and that's going to a couple of batteries, and then I think these two um, hussars are independent. The two black hussars, yeah, they are independent, and there's some dragoons that are independent as well. Um, the Ches, I don't know where they're at. Maybe they're on the other side of the map. Um, oh, yeah, they're on the other side of the map. Okay. So, yeah. So I think, a battery or two over there and, and some, and some cavalry should keep him away or make it more daunting
So,
to.
what are the Cossacks capable of? They're
So they can't stack with any other cavalry, but they can stack with other battalions or other, regiments that are part of their overall regiment. So, 6A and 6B can stack together, but you can't have them, 6A stacking with 5B, or with something else. Um, so that's one of the restrictions on stacking. Um, I think as far as what else was there, I think they can run away. They can retreat before combat, from anything, as I recall. Let's see, what's it got here for Cossacks? Still special rules. Okay. Cossacks cannot stack with any cavalry unit except the other unit of their regiment. They may join other cavalry units in close combat, but may not stack with them at any time, including advance after combat or pursuit. Cossacks are always in command and do not have to be in a LOC or roll for initiative. Cossacks may retreat before close combat when attacked by any type of unit. So they can run away from just about anything, or actually everything. And they can move independently. So, still there, David?
Yep. I'm
Okay.
just, yeah, sorry. I was just looking at things here. And they basically got pretty terrible morale, don't they? So,
They do. They're not the happiest people or the most likely to do what you ask them to do. They're very independent minded. So, kind of like Cossacks from La Bataille, where they are kind of, around on the edges, possibly causing some inconvenience. Um, but I don't know that they are anything too serious to worry about.
okay. What's our range? Range of the. Ooh, those unicorns have a long range, don't they? They're not real powerful, but they got a long range.
Yeah, the howitzers,
16.
yeah, and their Sukalov howitzers have got a pretty good punch, although short range.
Oh, we got some 24 pounders,
We have one single 24 pounder. Yeah,
huh?
not a whole lot, but better than a poke in the eye.
Oh, it's a one. Okay, so we
Yeah,
got
just
one.
one. It's one increment. Yeah.
So we got, looks like 8 12 pounders. And as you said, they're four each. They
Yeah.
got some. And then we got 7 7 pounders. Each one of those is two.
Yep. So
Can
they're
they
more
stack
like,
in a hex?
um, yeah. So you can have up to four, uh, artillery. Or you can have up to six artillery stacked in a hex. But, and this is something I don't know that we were paying attention to at Colon. For every single strength point, it's worth four. So our 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 units there that have the 12 pounders, they are the equivalent of having 16 strength points there, which means that the people shooting at them are going to get a plus 20. So I don't know that we were doing that um, last in Colon, because the if the infantry was stacked with my artillery, and so then it would have been 8 points of artillery for purposes plus whatever the infantry was. It would have been a big plus
All right.
or a bigger plus on stuff.
See our 7 pound howitzer. The 7 pound howitzers have the same range as the 12 pounders. They just half as powerful. And they're
Yes.
half the size, so they're like quarter of the.
Yeah.
What's he got here?
So as far as our infantry goes, we've got basically um, it looks like 3 wings. Boop, 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 boop. Konitz, who is over here on the left wing, and Let's see who's the next chap. Doha, Dona, who's in the center, and then where's Monteufel? Is Monteufel anywhere? Clayton. Monteufel must be over here. There's Dietrich Fleming. Yep. So it looks like two of so Konitz and Monteufel are over on the Prussian left, and Dona is on the sort of Prussian center. Dona's got 3 battalions, it looks like, or 3 brigades. And then between Konitz and Manteuffel, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brigades. So it looks like we're kind of set up for left a left punch.
Yep, that's what Frederick did.
Yeah.
He refused the right. But you can't completely refuse the right because you got to do something about Wilkersdorf there.
Yep. Yep. We got to have something over there. So I don't know. As far as independent units go, we don't have any independent grenadiers. We've got independent artillery, and then we've got that hussars and the dragoons, and then that's it as far as our independent units go.
Who's the cavalry commander on the right?
Um, let's see. That's going to be Shorlimer. Shorlimer. Yeah, Shorlimer. And Seydlitz is over on the left. So the looks like the bulk of the cavalry is over there, and Marshall is here behind the infantry. So we've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3 cavalry brigades over here on the left side.
Now the Russians don't have any cavalry other than some Cossacks on their right.
That's what it looks like.
Oh, there's a hussar back there.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah, that's it. So, from my understanding from the battle, was that over on this side, basically between that Zaberngrund, that stream that runs along the that Russian right flank, all the way over to the western side of the map, not much was going on over there. And looking at how the Prussians are currently positioned, there's no way that I could get my infantry, you know, to get on that side of the creek easily.
Right.
Yeah,
Probably no reason to.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, because for the same reason, he can't do much to get across it. Now, the cavalry that Seydlitz has could come around over there and cause some trouble for him, particularly since all we need to do is get one unit into that Korchsen to trigger a penalty on their morale. So that might be something to think about.
and Salus has got a great. He's a +8, or he's an 8 for his
Yeah, for his
activation.
activation. Yeah, yeah. So he's good. Everybody, for the most part, is pretty good,
6 and 5 for your two.
right?
That. What are mine? There. All right. So he's not as good. He's 5. He's a 6. So my all right. My wing commander isn't as good, but the other two are just the same. And what's that marshal guy? He's not
Yeah.
as good, but that's all right.
Doa's pretty good. He's a 7 for initiative.
Who?
The infantry
Oh,
wing leader over here. So let's see. He's a 6. And he's a 6. Yeah. And so a wing activation, all we need is a 5 or better for Frederick. So I imagine we could probably get at least a wing activation or two every turn, um, kind of a thing. So once again, kind of working on the outmaneuver them.
and you say these. So okay. So what are you thinking about throwing some batteries out to get in good position to?
Yeah, yeah. The idea is to we could have we can use the terrain to our benefit. If no one can easily get across this creek, then we could
Mm-hmm.
put some batteries over on this other side of it, on the western side. We can have a set of batteries here and up here on this high ground, right? So here and
Mm-hmm.
here, um, and then um, if we needed to, we could have another battery like over here to cover the right flank, and then put a couple of guns
You want to
in
blink that again?
Wilkersdorf.
Just a second.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay.
So over here, right?
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to be able to get that far forward with them.
Eventually. So I suspect we could if we try really hard. So let's see. Yeah. Now the only other thing is that Zorndorf is on fire. So um, we don't get the benefit of defending in Zorndorf, although I have no intention for defending in Zorndorf. I figure we will be out well ahead of Zorndorf fighting. Um, but that's the only sort of other special thing is that Zorndorf isn't a. If you're there, you don't get the +5 for being in a village because the village is on fire. So
Okay.
yeah. All right.
So all right. So you're thinking of taking the two on the left?
Yeah. So I
Which
can take Sadlitz and I could take these two infantry
that's
wings
that's Monteufel and
and Konitz.
Emmets.
Yep.
Okay. And then I get Dona on the right.
Right. And then you'll have Schormler. And then we can move Marshall, who's this heavy. Um,
The Dragoons, yeah.
yep. We can move them maybe in the center. So move them off to, somewhere here so we have them as a reserve. And that way then
Oh,
we can go
okay.
either
Do
way.
that again. Where?
So have them here in the
Okay.
center, kind of behind the woods.
Okay.
So then
You
we
want
could
me to
use
tape
them.
them then
Yeah,
and
yeah,
move
yeah,
them?
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Okay.
And then, yeah, and then um, we'll take a couple of guns, put them on the road over here, and run them over to Wilkerson or Wilkersdorf, um, to act as a impediment for cavalry to try to come and mess around.
Do these little villages block line of sight or what? Or not?
Um, yeah, they do. So the village hexes block line of sight. Woods hexes block line of sight, and then the slope hexes don't. The only ones that do, I think, were the precipices, and they're only along this creek over here, where they have these precipice hex sides that are impassable. And then you have severe slope, which are the sort of black ones like this, and then you have the gentle slope, which are the sort of usual
How do
slope
you
ones.
tell a difference between a precipice and a severe slope?
Yeah, so the precipice looks like it's this really dark, thick line along the creek, and it only seems to be along the creek that I see it. Um, and it looks like everything else is just normal, or here's severe slope, normal slope, severe slope here by this marsh.
So the precipice.
The
Let me bring it.
precipice are just these really dark ones right here along that part of the map. So we'll probably talk to Michael about that and just make sure we're all on board with the
Okay,
terrain.
they're black and they got the little black dots in front of them, but
Yes.
the severe slope are just black
Yeah.
and not quite as concentrated as.
Yes. Yeah. And they look like um, they're just like a really hairy eyebrow. But they're shorter than the regular severe slope. So the severe slope tend to have like a longer ray coming out of them,
Yeah.
while the severe slope have are really short rays coming out of them. If you want to look at it that way, so
All right. So, all right, I'm over along the over there. Is this one place they can get through?
give me a second. Where are you at? Yeah, yeah, that's
Okay.
a potential spot where people could cross, because it looks like it's a stream, and it's just a normal slope up and down.
This area here is most of it's now those are,
Yep, that's a precipice.
but the rest looks like just steep slope there.
Yeah,
Other until you get to here. Okay, it looks like is that
yeah, yeah. That's more precipice again. It looks like.
or is it?
Well, it's got. You see how the precipice hex has the dark, and then it's got like a little band of tan before you get to the water, right? I don't know.
Yeah, some of those are a little hard to tell.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, I get it. It looks like the it's almost like the precipice is on the inside of
of the hex, yes. While the
the others
severe
is
slope is
leading up to the hex.
leading up to the hex, correct?
So that's leading up, leading up, leading up, leading up. And all right, so that's inside. That's all
Yeah.
inside.
So this is going to
Inside.
be, so this is a precipice hex, right? Because it's on the inside of the
Yeah.
hex. Yeah.
All right. So there is a kind of path through here.
Yes. Yeah. Not
Not an easy
not
path,
an
but
easy path. Yeah. So the easier path is the one that we already identified there between those two ponds. So, okay.
okay. So all right, how are we splitting up? All right. How are we splitting up artillery then?
So we've got um, two different sets of artillery. So um, with the 12 pounders, as you heard me mention to Michael, what is it? The artillery 12 pounders that are numbered 1 through 6 can fire and prolong. The ones that are numbered 7 through 11 can only prolong. So we need to figure out, okay, where are we going to set up guns? And we're not really planning on kind of pushing them forward more. They're just kind of be set and set it and forget it. So I certainly think that we could use um, one of those or one or two over on the west side of the creek where Seydlitz's cavalry is. Because once I get them set up over there, they're just going to kind of fire in on the flank of the Russians.
Yeah. Well, there's only two of them that can't do both.
Uh,
7 and 8.
7 and 8, and then, well, let's see, where are the others? So why did it say
You
7
take
through
the
11?
you take the yeah. Oh yeah, where are them then? Where are the other
Yeah.
ones? I don't
Yeah.
see anything above 8.
Yeah, so there's some guns here for whatever reason, and then there's these ones here, but yeah, I don't.
Oh, there's the ones out front. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Okay.
there's only a few. There's
One, two,
only one,
three.
two, and it looks like
One,
they're
two, three,
back there
four.
too. It looks like it duplicated.
Maybe those are supposed to be
Well, I'm going to take a look
9,
at
10, and
the
11.
independent artillery. Okay, so those are howitzers. Mm,
Yeah, I think they duplicated. Yeah, 12.2. All right.
12 pounders. Okay. So yeah, they're supposed to be an artillery number 9, number 10, and 11. So um, yeah, so we're supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, there's supposed to be 11 altogether. So let me go grab, what
And
do we?
how many howitzers altogether?
Howitzers. It says there's supposed to be seven
Okay.
7 pound howitzers and one 24 pound, um, one 24 pounder. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
So you can remove this guy then.
Yep. All right. And then let's go ahead and I'll take these guys off. So we've got 1, 2, 3,
Yeah. They got 9,
4,
10, 11. All right. They got
5,
counters for 9, 10, and 11.
6, and 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. So 11's a little smaller.
All right, so it looks like um, the coloring on the ones that can only do one
Yeah,
or the other, it's darker.
yeah, yeah. The jackets look a little darker.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right.
So,
I think you should take most of the 12 pounders and use them in the center against the Russians there.
okay.
So out on your Fuchsburg and um, maybe wherever else. Oh,
I was going to put some over on the west side of the creek to fire in on their flank.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah. Take a.
yeah.
They're not like any faster or anything. They're all this. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything's the
they're
same.
all equally slow. So, yeah, and then the howitzers are a little faster. Um, and but then I thought I'd uh, have you set up something. So over to cover the Wilkersdorf, we can
Yeah.
send we can send this smaller 12 pounder, right? The one that the 12 pounder
Yep.
number 11. Um, we can even send the 24 pounder, I guess, unless we want to.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe with that and maybe, and then you say you can stack, so I can stack them in one hex and have a pretty good,
Yeah, you could have that would make a pretty strong battery there, because the 24 pounder, um, if you're at a range of say 10, it's times two. At a range of 9, it's times 4. So you'd have 4, you'd have 10 between those two at a range of 9 or less. And then once you get into closer range, then they can really do a number. So yeah, put those guys over on the road, and you can then send them to Wilkersdorf, and they can support your cavalry out there. Um,
you want to send me two of the sevens too?
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't. Do you want to put
Or
those
how
over
big a
there, or
house?
have them? You can have them support your infantry or support your cavalry. You might want to have them with your to support your cavalry, give you some firepower.
So we're our setup for the, okay, so we're doing scenario three.
Yep.
All right.
So we can set
How
up
is it
within
written?
10
I
of
want to
any
limbered or
infantry.
unlimbered
Yep.
within 10 hexes of any Prussian infantry unit. So our last Prussian infantry unit is there. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can be there.
Uh, I don't know where you put them.
I could
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Just go ahead and put them there.
3, 4,
Just put them
5,
in
6,
road
7,
column.
9, 10. All right. So the 1, 2, 3. Now is it one increment per hex in road column?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So he can't get. Can he get close enough to? All right. All right. How many of these 7-pounders you want me to take?
Um, so why don't you take a few out to support your cavalry? So put some out there, and I'll give you. You can take this other 12-pounder,
Okay.
and then we can leave a few in kind of in reserve. So if you want to take a couple for your cavalry, and kind of put them out there on that, like closer to the kind of cavalry to, the idea being, and then you can have some to support. Then we can have some that can go wherever we might need them. So let's see, we've got how many left? We got 4 left. Uh, so we could put some here on the road. To kind of support the infantry. Okay.
All right. So where's Frederick and?
So right now Frederick is back here.
Yeah.
So we can put him anywhere. Oh, and then we've got this guy. He can be used to provide a link potentially to a wing. So if we put him maybe over here, 1, 2, 3. Well, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could put him out here. Then he could provide once per. So say for example we want to do a wing activation with these guys. He's too far away. I don't know what his role is, but we could try to roll this
Yeah.
guy.
He's not great. He's
Yeah.
6.
So if he passes his, then he can act as like an army commander for that guy to be in command. And so then you can do a wing activation. But he can only do that once.
Once the game.
Once per turn.
Once per turn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, where are you sticking Frederick?
Right now I've got him right here. So 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he's in command 2, 4, 6, just via the roads. Let's see, who do I need to have? Who's the furthest away? I mean, we're not going to be doing any rapid marches or closing combat just yet. So I think we're okay for the moment. But I'm going to end up having Frederick at some point over here, right? That's where he's going to end up, somewhere in the middle. So Seydlitz is going to kind of be on his own, which is fine. I think he can handle it. So, all right. Anything else?
I think that's making sense. Now, the other things are basically set up where they're supposed to be. Is that what
Yeah,
I'm
pretty much
gathering?
everything is. I mean, I'm presuming it's set up where it's supposed to be set up.
Now, are units allowed to go through Zorndorf on the road, or
So the rule for Zorndorf is, let's see if I can bring it up here real quick. Bup, 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 bup. Um, is it in scenario 3? All right. Yes, the Russians set fire to Zorndorf. All movement point costs are doubled. Line of sight cannot be traced through any hex adjacent to a Zorndorf hex because of the smoke. Roads in Zorndorf do not negate the village terrain for movement or tracing line of command. The roads are of
so
no effect.
they'll stay out of it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, we're going to have to avoid Zorndorf.
All right. So I'm taking my command and kind of going
You're,
north
yeah, you're going to go more or less
east
to,
to the right of the woods,
uh,
kind of
yeah,
like up those two roads.
yep, yep. And you're going to set up along there. And then we're going to have, then you're going to take those dragoons and we're going to park them kind of in the behind the woods. They're going to be our reserve, so we can send them one way or the other depending on where the breakthrough is, or if we need to use them to counter the Russians on our right, we can do that too. um, yeah.
Does that maybe I might possibly need that because he does outnumber me in cavalry over there, even without the Cossacks, and with the Cossacks, it's even worse.
Yeah.
But that other cavalry unit definitely evens that out. So,
Yeah.
and you far outnumber his cavalry on your on the left there. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it looks like he's setting up guns over there opposite us. Cool. So he's got batteries over there to cover the creek. Cool. Okay. That's fine. I'll take that trade.
Well, that just means there's guns that aren't shooting in the other direction.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly what it means.
So those are those Shuvalovs. What's a Shuvalov?
They are a type of howitzer, from what it says
Shuvala
there.
howitzer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're
Pretty
not
short
bad. Short
range.
range, but pretty. They pack a punch. So compared to so at the same range of our howitzers, they're times 4, while our howitzers are times 2. So they are a little bit better. So we just need to stay out of range of them, and we're fine.
Now, how do those cliffs affect line of sight?
Um, that's a good question. Are we ready to go back to the lobby? We can then chat about that all
Yeah,
together.
yeah, I
Okay.
think we've got
Cool.
all right.
Hello, Michael.
Well, I just don't ever want you guys making fun of me for the time we spent in the Prussian tent the last game. tell you that right
You
now.
know, I think the common denominator is David.
Okay, well, I'm glad we got that squared
That's
away.
right.
Oh,
That's
hey,
right.
I'm old. I move slower.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No worries. No worries. Well, cool. Well,
For a while there, this isn't usually how I have it set up, but for a while there, I had the go where center on wherever the your opponent clicks,
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I had to
and
turn that off too.
yeah, that just about drove me insane. So eventually, I turned it off. Although I was undoubtedly gaining a little bit of information by watching where you were clicking, I also thought maybe you had the physical equivalent of Tourette syndrome because you just kept clicking here, there, here, there, here,
Uh,
there. It's like, ah,
it's all part of our. So, what we were really talking about was getting a sense of what the terrain is. So,
right,
we've got
absolutely.
normal slopes, we've got heavy slopes or severe slopes, and then we've got the precipice. And so, we were trying to figure out, well, what's the difference between
Which is which,
the more severe slope and the precipice? And we kind of figured the
right?
precipice is on the inside of the hex, while the slope is on the outside
Yeah.
of the
It
hex.
leads up to the
Yeah, it leads
hex.
up to the hex side, while the precipice is inside the hex. So that seems to be what separates the two.
That
Um,
seems to make sense.
yeah,
Yes.
I was trying to say it looked like, a really serious eyebrow.
Looks like a damn sunken road, if you ask me.
Well, I didn't see any sunken roads on this.
Well, I
So,
okay,
yeah,
joking, kidding. All right, so well, that's interesting because I agree. If you look there, that looks like precipice, and that looks like um,
slope.
a slope, right?
Right.
Not a yeah.
And then
Okay,
the gentle slope is the little brown ones that we're used to,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
Boy, that's actually a really good question. What then? I'm just looking. I'm trying to figure out is that really the only precipice we're seeing?
I think it's only along this creek. It's
I
only
believe
along
that,
here,
but I'm
but
just trying to figure out
there's
like
precipice
what's
here, right? Down
whoop.
on this area and this area. Further down, this is
Okay, yeah,
precipice. This
right,
is
right.
precipice.
Okay, I
Um,
believe that.
but this does not. This looks like just normal
See,
slope,
but that looks see
more
that
precipicey.
looks like well, it looks like lines, right? And that looks more like dots. That's also one of the well, yeah, that's got lines too. I don't know. I'm struggling to figure out exactly which is which. I mean, the truth is, by the time you've done a steep slope and then into marsh, you're not going very far anyway.
Yeah,
Even if
I think the way that the easiest way to look at it is that these hexes and these
yeah,
hexes, you see the slope, the lines are leading up from one hex to the other. While the
yeah,
precipice, they're like inside so they're not
um,
on the hex side as much as they are
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
they're like overlapping into the hex. So I think that's the
Yeah.
way that you could kind of tell them apart.
So so 33 14 33 15, right? And then 33 15 and 33 16, right? So I mean that checks out.
Yeah,
All right. Well, we can argue about that when
yeah.
we get to it, I guess. All right. Very good.
Well, then I was asking, what's their effect on line of sight?
So that's a great
uh,
question. So we should probably read that here. Hex
yeah, it's going to be
size.
here in the
So slopes and
rules.
gentle slopes run along the hex side look similar, except slopes are darker color. Movement is whatever it is. Slopes will block line of sight unless the target is in a hex adjacent to the slope or the firing unit is on a higher elevation than the defender. So the slopes will block line of sight, but the gentle slope won't. Precipice hex sides have a darker, fuller marking than slopes. Movement is prohibited. Precipice effect on line of sight are the same as for slopes. So if you're firing, from a higher elevation, you can fire across the slope doesn't block it, and the precipice doesn't block it.
Yeah, that's really kind of confusing the way it's describing it there.
Series rules
Slopes will
12.6.
block line of sight unless the target is in a hex adjacent to the slope or the firing unit is on a higher elevation than the defender, right? And yeah, and then of course it discusses it in 12.6. And it's the bane of every rule writer in the history of ever. Uh, That's funny. I'm not really sure it talks very much about slopes. Leaders alone, if blocked, certain features can block LOS, and these terrain types are listed in the battle rules. Unit always has LOS into an adjacent hex, of course. Intervening terrain and units that are closer or equidistant to the lower hex will block the LOS. Terrain and units that are closer to the higher hex do not block the LOS. Hexes that are the same level or higher than the higher unit are also considered as intervening terrain. That's funny because really, it doesn't really say very much. Because that sentence there, when we're talking about slopes in the special rules, seems to be saying something different.
Right, so it's saying slopes will block line of sight unless the target is in an adjacent hex to the slope. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So in other
or
words,
the firing unit is on a higher elevation than the defender. So
right. Okay. So let's see if we
so
can
if
find
you are,
examples
for
here.
example, if you're at the edge of the slope, right? So say we're over here. If I'm here, you could shoot me from where, somebody who's down on the other side, right? But if
Yeah.
I'm here, right, I'm a higher elevation, you couldn't.
Well, right, except, and this map actually does have elevations on it, which is nice. So, like, for example, that guy could shoot at that guy because they're
Right,
at the
because
same
they're on the
elevation.
same elevation, yes.
Right. But presumably a guy down here who's now at a lower elevation could not shoot at that guy because he's not at the edge.
Correct.
But he would be able to shoot at him if he were there.
Yep.
Right. But now, interestingly,
This one wouldn't be able to shoot up here.
Right, because he's got the precipice right in front of him.
Well,
And he's at a lower elevation too.
Yeah, he's in the elevation with the double thing, whatever that is.
right,
because there was something in there about there's dashes and dots and dashes and double dots.
Right. That's just telling the different levels.
Right.
They actually just put numbers on it on Fontenoy, which is a lot cleaner, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
usually it's pretty easy to tell what's going on. First of all, I mean this is obviously lower,
yeah,
and then everything around here is all at the next layer up, and then this and all of this is the next layer up from that.
right. Yeah, the dashes are the highest elevation from the looks of it. And then the dashes and a single dot are lower down, and the dashes
Yes,
and a double dot are
right.
lower down, and
Hmm.
then the nothing but dots is the lowest.
Oh, and that's way back here in the northwest corner of the map.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's that river that's running that way.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Um.
So
Okay, but I'm trying to figure out here. Let's make sure we understand this. Slopes will block line of sight unless the target is in a hex adjacent to the slope, or the firing unit is on a higher elevation than the defender. So that and then precipices would be the same. So if the firing unit's on a higher elevation, then it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Okay. And so it's only if you're at the same or you're firing up
Up.
does the slope come into play.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think that makes sense. Sure it does. Why not? Sure. Let's just say it makes sense. Okay. Wow. Okay. Good times. Let's see. What is this other thing? That is okay. Yeah, it's funny how much you just kind of need to get oriented when you first approach one of these battles. And this is probably one of the cases where you're better off um, playing the real game. Right? It's just easier to visualize what's going on.
I
Oh,
don't
and
know.
by the
I got the
way,
map out,
I
and it wasn't much easier.
oh okay. I wanted you to know, by the way, that all these guys in my back center weren't there in the setup.
Oh, really?
I had two entire command. I was like, I don't think that looks right. Why is the center so? It doesn't have a back row. And I went and looked, and sure enough, there's two whole commands that um, just got omitted from this.
Yeah, because it's kind of a sandwich from what I read, where they had the first line was facing north, and then the
Right.
backup line was facing south, or was south of that. And then when
Well, they just
Frederick
got
started to march around, then they all had to spend hours turning around and facing the other
right,
way.
right, exactly.
So, yeah.
Good times, faux show. Okay, let's see what else we're gonna do. Um, okay, I certainly hope that you guys double checked and were reasonably confident that all of your units were actually present.
well, we were missing a couple artillery pieces.
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
okay.
well, they weren't missing, but there was duplications of a couple that should have been other ones.
Oh, I see. So the numbers were,
Right.
yeah, there were two twos and no threes or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, uh,
So let's see. I guess that. All right.
So Reuter has got 1, 2,
Uh,
3, 4, 5. Okay. Yeah.
CZE Dragoons. Those are.
Fleming has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So that must be Bredal. Okay, Bredal. Hey, I got Zeton, man. All right.
Sound familiar?
So we got MGF and PVP. Then we got the two roof czars. Where are? Did we ever find those CZE dragoons?
Yep, they're over here on the by Seidlitz's stuff over here on this.
Yeah.
Oh,
on this
okay.
end.
So those
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, those are
Okay, so
independents.
you've got.
Yeah, I recognize those from Luthen.
So now, did Luthen happen before or after this battle? This is August.
Yeah, A-P and CH.
That's a really good. I think it was the preceding December. I think it was December of 1757.
Oh, is this 1758?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I've got to
that could be.
update my. I thought it was 1757. I thought it was same year as Prague and everything else. No, you're right.
No.
It's 1758.
So let's see. 1757 had a lot going on in it.
Yeah, that's why I
it
thought
had
it was.
Prague and Kolin and Rossbach and Luthen. I mean, it was a big year, full of some downs and some ups. Trying to remember, was Lobositz the previous
Lobositz
year?
was the first battle
1756.
in the 7 Years' War.
Yeah, but I'm thinking it was 1756, if memory serves.
Could be.
Uh, bup, 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 bup.
All right. So what kind of Russian levers? What kind? That's the turn track. There's a turn. All right. Okay. What's the number that moves the?
Good
It's
question.
11.
Okay, so we need to exceed 11.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
And this starts at 9 o'clock. Is that what it is?
That is correct. Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Uh-oh.
I hit the end turn instead of the game turn.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. We haven't done anything yet.
Well, yeah. Yeah, Lobositz was October of 76. Of 56, rather.
56, okay.
Yeah, and so, 57 was full of battles.
Okay.
And then 58, we get Zorndorf. And I guess that was the big battle over on this side of the world. Hochkirch was there later on. Oh, yeah. And then Kunnersdorf was in 59. Then Torgau in 60. Yeah, after having a lot of battles in the first couple of years, the battles started getting farther and farther apart. That's the
probably got a little tougher for everybody.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, we're out of money.
Yeah.
And we're running out of men, and yeah, it's not that much fun. Okay.
All right. So we've got a little more mobility than you do.
A little more mobility. What do you mean by that?
It doesn't cost us much to go from column to line.
Oh,
line to
yeah.
column.
That's actually a really good point. I hadn't looked at that, but I'm sure it's true. I'm sure my guys are not as slick at marching as your guys are.
Yeah, we got slick marchers.
Oh, yes. Wow. The even a simple matter of going from line to column to the right costs me 3. And that's the easy way.
There's the
For
easy
you
way
guys, it's
and the hard
1.
way.
For me, it's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, just stand there and die, peasants. That's apparently the message here. Yeah. Goodness. Okay. Well, I don't know.
Your cavalry's not quite as bad.
My cavalry. Oh, no, yeah, but it's pretty bad, and I don't have very much of it. Um, I've really got, that cavalry over there in the east, and then I've got a relatively small cavalry command that's in the west. There's really not that much.
Yeah,
I mean, I got,
basically you've got all the
Cossacks all
Cossacks.
over.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got lots of Cossacks, and of course, you know exactly how useful they are.
yeah.
Um,
It's the dismounted dragoons that are going to make all the difference. I'm just
think
telling
so.
you now. Yep.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a
As opposed to the
frankly.
Grenzers.
Oh yeah, I ain't got no Grenzers. I ain't got no stinking
Let's
Grenzers.
see. Grim Harbinger says Hostenbeck happened in 1757 as well. He said, I was part of a Kriegspiel Saturday where I was the Duke of Cumberland. It did not go so well.
I
Yeah,
understand how
that
that
sounds about
goes.
right. That sounds about right for
Yeah,
the Duke of Cumberland. So,
yeah, yeah. No kidding. Hmm. Hmm.
all right. Well, very interesting.
All right. So I think I'm probably just about where I want to be,
Well, we
and
figured we're about as good as we can get. We can't do
okay.
any worse than Frederick, potentially.
Well, I don't know about that.
We might do worse.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just wow, just such a just hammer and tongs kind of battle.
Yeah,
The Russians weren't leaving, and the Prussians weren't going to take no for an answer until eventually
they took no for an answer.
they took no for an answer. Yeah. Um, this battle was in August. I don't recall there being any heat rules or anything like that.
I didn't see anything, as
Yeah.
opposed to Southern California, where we had 2 blackouts earlier today. So I'm like, okay,
Oh
well, I'm
no,
not sure. So I like
that's not good.
booted up my computer just there an hour before we started to try to
Mm.
download the rules, download the charts, download the Vassal
Oh,
module.
so you just did it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, I looked. I looked a little earlier. I was printed all those things down before. But okay, well, I suppose then we could probably save what we got here and and be ready for next time.
Yep, that sounds like a deal.
One
I do
thing.
have okay, I'm looking at my setup.
Are you
All
missing
right.
somebody, David?
No, but I'm curious. The this command here,
Yeah,
these are his units, and 2 of them are out of command.
yeah.
Is that correct?
Well, let's take a look and see. What's it
Yeah.
Uh,
say?
I'm sorry. Guide me a little. Where are you?
Down here, that's
Oh, okay, perfect. Got it.
these are
So
his.
that's G. Yeah, you're right. I mean, very clearly.
So let's see.
Oh, wait a minute. There's another problem. One of those 2 units isn't real. They're the same unit.
Okay.
What's the command?
What's his name? His name is Goblins, and
Okay.
yeah, one of
Goblins.
those should be a one and one should be a two, but there's both of them are.
Yeah, so he's got
Oh,
AKR1 and
oh, you know what? The artwork itself is wrong. You'll notice if you hover over each of them, one of them is marked as two, the other's marked as one, but the artwork is exactly the same on both of them.
Yeah.
We're just going to have to be careful if we're marking losses to be sure we know which is which.
All right. So one AKR 5812. And that's one
Yeah,
AKR is 5812. Two AKR
right.
is 5912,
yeah,
5913.
so
That
he's
one
only
is
got
Oh,
four. Yeah, he's only got four
he's there.
battalions.
so that means the other one is in command now.
Right. Okay. And let's see what the other one does. The other one, sir, is 59 17 59 18.
He needs to scoot over.
Yeah. So what did I just say? 17 and 18 there. And the other one is 21 22.
So he's over
Actually,
here. Yeah.
yeah, that's
So
okay.
one,
Yeah,
two, three, four. Yeah, so he's in command.
yeah, he's in command also. So they're all in command ever so close, ever
Right.
so, ever so barely. But yeah,
Oh, and I guess that's why then they're because I was looking at the light cavalry. I'm like, what's going on out here? But he's got stuff in two hexes, I guess, so that stretches it out. Three. Well, the
right,
light cavalry's a little different anyway.
So that gets
right.
counted like 1, 2, 3, 3, 4.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
yes, it does. Yeah.
And so this gets counted
Well,
1,
in fact,
1,
actually,
2,
it's
3,
it's even
4.
it's actually even worse than that because so that would be one, two, three, and because these are actually the
Part
same
of the same regiment.
the same
Yeah.
regiment, really, you don't even need to reach that one just because these are adjacent to each other. That's enough.
Okay.
Regimental integrity, which I just reread. Um, for purposes of tracing command range, adjacent units of the same regiment are considered as a single unit, regardless of their facing, formation, or whether they're disordered or shaken. So, so really, in that case, because they're adjacent to each other, literally all you had to do is just be able to reach the first one and you're good. And just by the transitive property of 6.2b, you, you magically get all of it. Yeah, I think when I played Malvitz, I think I misunderstood and thought that there were units that were out of command in the initial setup, which again does seem a little odd, but I don't think it was actually true. Once I looked more carefully, I realized that it wasn't. Okay.
5 and 6. Okay. All right.
Okay. Well, I've gone ahead and saved a copy for myself so I can
Yep.
plan.
Here we go. File save game as and this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we're going to see just how ugly this can get. The answer is quite a bit.
So I'm just looking at your line. Are these artillery units supposed to be unlimbered or limbered?
Yeah. Well,
So
the ones that are flipped over are all limbered.
are they supposed to be unlimbered?
No. No, the ones that are supposed to be unlimbered are flipped over and you can see the guns.
Okay. Because I thought the rule said the Russian stuff started unlimbered.
Oh, I didn't realize it was mandatory. Okay, well, I can fix that.
No, that's why I was curious. Uh, let's
Russian
see.
unicorns.
Howitzers set up
Set
within
up.
2 unlimbered. Unicorn set up unlimbered within any 2. Okay, so it's your basically your 6-pound guns, 8-pound guns, 12-pound guns, howitzers. So everything all of your guns are set up unlimbered within 2 of an Russian infantry. And the
Right.
unicorns are also set up unlimbered within 2 of any observation corps unit. So
Right.
basically,
Right.
all your guns are unlimbered.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
You
then
got
Okay. Well,
The Prussians look like they had
you
the option to be limbered or unlimbered.
yeah, which makes all the sense.
yeah.
Oh, is there
You
one
got you got
last?
one. There's one. Yeah, under there.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm, okay. Yep. All right. Well, we'll probably screw up a few more things before we're finished, but at least this way we have a pretty good idea what we're heading towards.
Exactly.
Can
We'll be marching on St. Petersburg soon enough.
good luck. I, I'm actually not really too worried about you uh, moving into St. Petersburg because with the French behind you and the Austrians behind you, I really don't think you marching on St. Petersburg makes a lot of sense.
It's not likely to happen.
No, I
So
don't think so.
it's that
I
we're
don't think so.
using our interior line of communications.
That's right. You're
So
hoping to just smack me on the nose like a ill-behaved puppy, and then turn and face the next disaster.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
that's
yeah, I
pretty much
like
it.
how they pieced together this image for the map on. You can
Isn't
tell
it a riot?
that.
Yeah, I'm like, where's the piece of tape? It practically looks like it should
I
have a piece
know,
of.
it's hysterical.
Yeah,
I am kind of puzzling over why some of it's got this kind of pinky red
Yeah,
tone to it.
right. And then there's some other area that's kind of white.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely a piece of tape on the east map there. Yeah, no doubt.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We should all be,
But I can't
profoundly
complain.
grateful.
On the bright side, he does allow you to straddle hexes, which the other
Yes,
module didn't allow.
that's
Mhm.
right.
So that's certainly makes life easier.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, can't
Yeah,
complain.
yeah. No, it is now. Yeah. No, I mean, it generally looks good. There's a little bit of trouble, I guess, with some pieces missing. But as long as we can actually like get all the different counters,
Yep,
that'll be a big plus. Because what
indeed.
was it? Was it Monmouth that you and I played, David? That module was not very good. There was weird stuff. There was one of the markers, I wish I could remember which one, that literally you couldn't rotate.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember which one it was, but
And
it
there's
just it made
and there was what wasn't there the skirmishers? There was something weird with those too that you couldn't get rid of them or something.
yeah, we yeah, that one needed a little bit of work, but oh well, all in good time. All right, gentlemen. Well, I've got a fun week of just kind of trying to balance work life and everything else. And then I have a very early flight the Monday following our game, so I will definitely want to stop at 10 p.m. Central next week.
Okay, can
Okay.
do.
I think my flight is at 0700, which which is means a pretty early wake up.
Yep.
Oh well. All right. Well, gentlemen,
Okay.
I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for putting this together, and we'll be talking to you in a week.
Cool.
Sounds good.